Now this is the history of Paul Vario. Let's get it, bro. From Goodfellas.
As seen in the 1990 film Goodfellas, the character
Oh, it's a different guy this time.
Paul Cicero is a capo in the Lucchese crime family who oversees many of the operations conducted by the film's main characters, Henry Hill, Jimmy Conway, and Tommy DeVito. Cicero is depicted as a calm and stoical man who acts as an almost father-like figure to Hill. But the real-life Paulie was very different from the one we see in the movie. His real name was Paul Vario, and he was a savage and sadistic man prone to fits of rage who also had a disturbing history of committing violence against women.
Huh.
Vario's story begins on July 10, 1914, when he was born in New York City. He grew up in Old Mill Basin, a neighborhood located in South Brooklyn. Vario's life of crime began early, as his first arrest came when he was just 11 years old on charges of truancy. He was
Damn.
sentenced to 7 months in a juvenile detention facility, and over the subsequent decade, the young Vario would find himself in and out of jail as he committed various petty crimes, such as shoplifting and stealing parts off of automobiles. Vario dropped out of high school after just 2 years and fully devoted himself to his fledgling criminal career, but it wasn't until 1937 when Vario had his first real brush with the law. On September 13th, 1936,
Wait, what?
real brush with the law. On September 13th, 1936, a 16-year-old girl from Queens was sitting inside a car with an older friend named Millie. The two had
Ooh.
recently attended a church service and were getting ready to leave. But before they could, their car was approached by 2 men, one of whom pulled out a handgun and ordered Millie to get out of the car and said that they were only interested in her 16-year-old friend.
Holy
The
shit.
men then got in the car and drove it to a secluded area of Howard Beach, where they raped and tortured the girl before finally letting her go. The next year, the girl and her friend contacted police and identified Vario and a friend of his named Anthony Romano as the attackers.
Anthony Romano? Wait. Hold up. Bro, this guy is a sadistic motherfucker, bro. This gangster. What's his name again? Anthony Romano. Wait, Romano. Gangster. Feared mobster. Oh shit.
And the two would be arrested in February. The trial received a significant amount of attention in the local press, especially when it had to be delayed due to accusations of witness intimidation. When the victim of the attack first took the stand, she hesitated to identify Vario as one of her attackers due to anonymous death threats that she and her family had received. Millie also testified in court that friends of Vario had threatened to, quote, bump her off if she took the stand against him. When the trial resumed later that year, Vario was found guilty of rape and sentenced to 10 to 20 years in Sing Sing prison. He was released on parole in the late 1940s. 20 years in Sing Sing prison. He was released on parole in the late 1940s and went to work for the Lucchese family, and he was eventually inducted into the organization as a made man. He became a member of Capo Salvatore Curiali's crew, who were based...
Salvatore, what's his name?
Made man. He became a member of Capo Salvatore Curiali's crew.
Salvatore. Wait. Mafia boss.
Crew, who were based in the Brooklyn neighborhood of Canarsie. Other members of this crew included Vario's brother Salvatore, childhood friend Pete the Killer Abenanti, and Joseph Schiavo, who would become a mentor for the young Vario.
What?
Abenanti and
Pete the Killer. Pete the Killer. These are members, bro. Bamboo now. Pete the Killer.
Joseph Schiavo.
Joseph Schiavo. Todo. Schiavo. Gangster.
Who would become a mentor for the young Vario. Vario's criminal career was on the upswing, but he would be found guilty of violating the terms of his parole after he was arrested on burglary charges, causing him to be immediately sent back to Sing Sing prison.
Sing Sing
He
prison.
was paroled.
Sing Sing prison. Is it how you spell it? Forbidden. Baseball. Oh. History of Sing Sing. What the fuck? Damn.
Again in the mid-1950s, but it didn't take long before he was arrested yet again on burglary charges and found himself once more in Sing Sing. Vario
Burglary.
would be released for the final time in 1962 after being in and out of prison for the last 25 years due to his repeated parole violations. Back on the streets, Vario dove headfirst into the world of organized crime and became involved in numerous illicit ventures such as loan sharking and gambling. He then wisely used the money he had generated to
Wisely.
purchase several legitimate businesses, including a
Oh.
cab stand and a pizzeria, as seen in the movie Goodfellas.
Oh.
As Vario's influence grew, Curial announced that he was stepping down as capo of the Canarsie crew. He initially proposed that Schiavo be given the job, but he declined, as he believed Vario would be the best man for the role.
Shavio. What's his
He
name?
was stepping down as capo of Vario's influence grew. Curial announced that he
Curia. Wait. These are all crazy. Curia. What is his name? The fuck?
was stepping down as capo of the Canarsie crew. He initially proposed
Canarsie crew. Mob. Italian. Wait, fuck.
that Schiavo be given the job.
Schiavo. Mob stew.
But he declined, as he believed Vario would be the best man for the role.
Oh.
Curial agreed, and Vario was named the new capo of the Canarsie crew. It was around this time that Vario learned of a man who had recently been released from prison.
Sweating, bro.
Who had a reputation as a good earner who knew how to keep his mouth shut. This man was none other than Jimmy Burke, who at that time was working as a bricklayer. Vario saw something in the young Burke and put him to work as a loan shark and debt collector, which Burke excelled at, especially after word got out that he had personally broken every bone in the face of a man that was late with his payments. Vario was impressed and eventually gave Burke control of his own loan sharking operation that was based in the Ozone Park neighborhood of Queens.
Nice.
Burke had Irish ancestry, and for that reason, he could never become a full member of a crew. But that didn't matter to Burke, and he quickly became Vario's best earner, as well as one of the most respected and feared gangsters in the city.
One of the most.
Burke was an absolute savant when it came to making money, and his loan sharking operation generated thousands of dollars every month for Vario. But Burke's real passion was stealing, an activity he carried out with almost childlike glee. Through his operation in Ozone Park, Burke realized that its close proximity to JFK International Airport could provide him and Vario with far more lucrative money-making opportunities. As many of the people who owed Burke money also happened to be airport employees, he would offer them a deal. If they tipped him off to any valuable cargo leaving the airport, he would wipe their debts away.
Peak.
This scheme turned into a highly profitable venture.
Wait, hold up.
He would wipe their debts away. This scheme turned into a highly profitable venture for Vario and his crew. When valuable items were leaving the airport, Burke, along with his associates Henry Hill and Tommy DeSimone, would hijack the shipment. Crucially, Burke would also slip the truck driver a $100 bill and let them know there was plenty more where that came from. This helped him create a network of informants at the airport who alerted him and his crew whenever precious items were arriving. While Vario preferred to keep things quiet, if he received word that any of the airport employees were considering doing the right thing and exposing the hijacking ring to the police, he wouldn't hesitate to have Burke or DeSimone kill the would-be do-gooder and have their body left in an abandoned car in the airport's long-term parking area as a warning to others.
Yeah, no
In
snitches.
1967, Burke and Hill masterminded the famous Air France heist, where Hill and DeSimone walked into the Air France cargo terminal and then simply walked out with over $420,000. As Vario was Burke's capo, he received an impressive $100,000 without having to even lift a finger. Vario was renowned for his tranquil demeanor. He was impervious to fear, impossible to surprise. If a car backfired or someone called his name, all Vario's head would turn. Slowly. He seemed invulnerable, deliberate. He exuded the sort of lethargy that sometimes accompanies absolute power. But he was also known...
Wait. The 50th anniversary edition. Yeah, the movie, Henry, played by Ray Liotta, said that Paulie Cicero, in the movie, his name, he didn't have to move fast for anyone because he was the boss.
That sometimes accompanies absolute power. But he was also known for having a dark temper, and this was exemplified one night when he and his wife Phyllis went out for dinner.
Oh.
The couple arrived at an upscale Italian restaurant called Don Pepe's. The establishment operated on a first-come, first-served basis, and so everyone, including a feared mob boss like Vario, had to patiently wait in line until a table was ready. Vario and his wife waited outside for over half an hour, and during that time he saw one group after another who had arrived after him be seated inside first. As he became dangerously close to losing his temper, Vario complained to the staff about the long wait. This got him a table inside, but earned him the ire of the waiters. As Vario and his wife sat down at their table, he ordered a bottle of wine. The waiter came with the bottle, but then, perhaps on purpose, spilled some of it on the dress of Vario's wife. As he sat there seething at the perceived disrespect, Vario absolutely lost it when the waiter pulled out a dirty dish rag and started putting his hands on his wife's dress in an attempt to clean the wine off. Vario threw the table over and started slapping the waiter around. As Vario was 6 foot and weighed over 240 pounds, the waiter retreated back into the kitchen. Vario followed in hot pursuit, but was stopped at the kitchen door by a group of waiters armed with knives and frying pans. Henry
Oh.
Hill described what happened next, quote, "I never saw Paulie so angry. He said that if the waiters wanted to protect their friend, then they were all going to get their heads broken. Within an hour, we had 2 carloads of guys with baseball bats and
Oh.
pipes waiting outside Don Pepe's. By 11 o'clock, the waiters and kitchen help got off. The minute they saw us waiting for them, they started to run. A few jumped in cars. We were chasing waiters and breaking heads all over Brooklyn that night." By the mid-1960s, Vario was one of the most powerful gangsters in all of New York and was involved in almost every illegal venture one could think of. This painted a massive target on his back for law enforcement, many of whom were eager to bring down one of the city's most successful criminals. But such an undertaking would prove near impossible.
Wait, wait, hold up. Okay. Bro, there's no reply, bro. Trying to call someone, bro.
As for every honest cop, there were countless more who were on the mob's payroll. And even on the rare occasions Vario found himself in front of a judge, he always seemed to be let off with a slap on the wrist, despite his extensive rap sheet. For example, on September 8, 1967, Vario pleaded guilty to bribing a police officer. While he faced up to a year in Vario pleaded guilty to bribing a police officer. While he faced up to a year in prison, the judge decided to fine him only $250. Later that day, the same judge sentenced a 19-year-old first-time offender to 5 years in prison for robbing a convenience store.
Huh.
Such corruption was commonplace in New York City at the time, as a study from the New York Times showed that throughout the 1960s, 44% of cases where the defendant was involved with the mafia were dismissed outright, compared to just 11% of all other cases. And in
Well,
cases where the mobster was convicted, 46% of the time they'd be given a suspended sentence or merely let off with a fine. Vario greatly benefited from this level of duplicity within the justice system, as during the 60s he would find himself arrested on numerous charges such as bookmaking, bribery, hijacking, and running an illegal gambling ring that investigators estimated generated over $30 million a year. But each time he'd be let off the hook with only a light penalty. It wasn't until the 1970s when Vario would find himself in serious legal jeopardy. Vario conducted most of his business in 2 locations. One was a bar called Gefkins, located in the Flatlands neighborhood, and the other was a junkyard in Canarsie. Aware
yeah.
that both locations were hubs of criminal activity, police set up a Christmas tree business across the street from Gefkins that was staffed by plainclothes detectives. This allowed investigators to keep detailed tabs on the comings and goings from the bar. Both the bar and the junkyard had their phone lines tapped as well. As police surveyed the junkyard, they realized that a great number of high-ranking mobsters from all 5 families regularly visited Vario. But as one of the investigators would later explain, this wasn't enough. While our wiretap was productive in gathering information about illegal sports betting, loan sharking, etc., we were unable to determine the purpose of the visits to the junkyard of the wise guys from other families. We needed to install an electronic listening device in the trailer on the junkyard property. This would be easy to install.
The big heist, the real story of the Lufthansa heist, the mafia and murder. With the one guy, Lucky Luciano, bro. So he's a big Lucky Luciano. Mafia's greatest hits. Yeah, this is.
An electronic listening device in the trailer on the junkyard property. This would be easier said than done, as the junkyard was surrounded by a large fence with barbed wire on top. It was also guarded day and night by Vario's men, as well as 2 ferocious German shepherds.
Damn.
After days of careful observation, police learned that from 7 p.m. to 7 a.m., the junkyard was patrolled by only a single guard, and at 9 p.m. he would leave the junkyard to go have dinner at a local bar. While he was gone, detectives threw 2 stakes laced with tranquilizers over the fence. As the dog slept, investigators snuck into the junkyard and planted an electronic listening device above Vario's desk.
Wait, what?
Into the tranquilizers over the
Oh,
fence. As the dog slept, investigators snuck into the junkyard and planted an electronic listening device above Vario's desk. Over the subsequent months, police listened in as Vario met with a multitude of individuals, including numerous corrupt NYPD officers.
Corrupted. Wait. Is that those thieves?
Shocked investigators even overheard a New York City police detective suggest that Vario give him and his partner a $600 bribe.
Huh.
Sensing an opportunity, one of the members of the investigation team pretended to be a dirty cop and met with Vario. The undercover agent offered to supply Vario with confidential information for a price. Vario agreed, and the two would meet over 30 times in the junkyard, with the covert listening device recording it all. The investigation lasted 6 months, and police compiled a mountain of evidence that included hundreds of hours of recorded conversations and over 34,000 photographs of people seen leaving the junkyard.
Oh.
Armed with a treasure trove of information, the police launched a massive operation on October 16, 1972, that involved over 1,200 cops serving arrest warrants all across New York State. But the big prize for investigators was Vario, who jumped into his car and fled when he saw the police outside his house. Vario was determined to elude the cops and led them on a high-speed chase through Brooklyn that lasted over 30 minutes before he eventually gave up and surrendered. Once again, behind bars, Vario was hit with a plethora of charges related to conversations overheard on the listening device. He was officially indicted on charges of conspiracy, bribery, tax evasion, insurance fraud, grand larceny, drunk driving, and tampering with a witness.
Tampering with a witness? Oh. But tax evasion.
To make matters even worse, one of Vario's main moneymakers, Jimmy Burke, found himself in legal trouble as well. It all started when he and Henry Hill made a business trip to Florida. The two met up with an associate at a restaurant in Tampa. As the three were sitting at the bar drinking, Burke's friend got into a heated argument with another man whom he claimed owed him a substantial amount of money. Eventually, a fight broke out, and Burke grabbed the man while Hill beat him bloody with the butt of his revolver.
Damn.
The two then resumed their trip thinking nothing of the incident, but unfortunately for them, the man they assaulted had a sister who worked as a typist for the FBI.
Oh.
When they arrived back in New York, they were promptly arrested by the FBI and charged with extortion. Around this time, Tommy DeSimone was arrested as well on hijacking charges. It seemed as though the police had Vario and his organization dead to rights. But fortunately for him, much of the detective work on his case had been sloppy and haphazardly put together. For example, even though investigators had ample audio evidence that Vario bribed numerous cops, including their undercover informant, they had forgotten to check the money for fingerprints. This allowed Vario's lawyer to argue in court that there was no concrete evidence that his client had bribed anyone. This embarrassing blunder severely hurt the credibility of the prosecution in the eyes of the jury and was indicative of the quality of the overall investigation. In the end, Vario would only be found guilty of tax evasion and was sentenced to 6 years in federal prison. He served his time alongside Henry Hill and several other mobsters in Lewisburg Penitentiary in Pennsylvania. As depicted in Goodfellas, Vario, Hill, and the other gangsters lived like kings in Lewisburg.
Damn.
They were allowed to keep stoves in their cells, slept on fine mattresses, ate expensive steaks, and washed it all down with wine. Of a 6-year sentence, Vario would only serve 2.5 before being released in 1975.
Oh yeah, this is him in the movie, Paulie Cicero.
Perhaps learning from his mistakes earlier in life when it came to parole violation, for the next 3 years, Vario largely kept his nose clean and waited out his parole term. By 1978, Hill, DeSimone, and Burke were all back on the streets and hungry to earn. During that year, Vario would be presented with a fabulously lucrative scheme that involved robbing JFK International Airport. This was the infamous Lufthansa heist, which was carried out in December of that year by Burke and a hand-picked team. If you want to learn more about the heist, then please watch my video on Jimmy Burke, but suffice it to say the crew managed to steal over $5 million in cash.
God damn, bro.
The heist itself was a massive success, but its aftermath would set in motion a series of events that would bring about the downfall of Vario and his men. It all started when Parnell Stacks Edwards, the getaway driver for the robbery, failed to dispose of the van they used as he had been ordered to do. Instead of taking the van to a mob-owned junkyard to be destroyed, he got high and left it parked in front of a fire hydrant outside his girlfriend's house. The FBI found the van and discovered Stack's fingerprints all over it. Since he was a known associate of Burke's, Vario ordered DeSimone to kill Stacks before the FBI could arrest him, which he did on December 18th. But the damage was done, and now the FBI's attention was focused solely on Vario, Burke, and their crew. This caused the infamously paranoid Burke to order the deaths of anyone who could tie him or Vario to the heist. Over the next 7 months, Burke would order the murder of 9 people over fear that they would rat him out to the FBI. As Burke was cleaning house, Hill feared that he was next on the list, and so in order to save himself, he agreed to become a government witness and agreed to testify in court against Vario. Burke. Hill feared that he was next on the list, testify in court against Vario, Burke, and numerous other mobsters. While on the stand, Hill claimed that Vario had arranged a fake job for him so he could get out of jail early on parole. For this, Vario was convicted of defrauding the federal government and sentenced to 4 years in prison. The next year, Vario was again in court, this time on charges of racketeering and extortion. Prosecutors claimed that Vario had threatened the shipping companies at JFK Airport with a labor strike if they didn't pay him a bribe, which amounted to over $350,000. Again, thanks to Hill's testimony, Vario was found guilty and sentenced to an additional 10 years in prison.
10 years.
By this point, Vario was 70 years old and in extremely poor health. He would die at the age of 73 from lung cancer while serving his sentence at Fort Worth Federal Prison in Texas. And that was the video. If you enjoyed, please like and subscribe. Thanks, and I'll see you next time.
Goodfellas introduced America to a lot of complex characters from Tommy Lee Moore to Jimmy Burke, but perhaps the most mysterious was Paulie Cicero, aka Paul Vario. Today we will look at Goodfellas' most enigmatic character, Henry Hill. Paulie, Tommy, Jimmy, and Harry were all sanitized for the film to make them more likable. It's common in crime movies. He's kidding about all of them. He calls them scumbags and psychopaths all the way through. Of course, he still buys, but believe me, he does not paint them in a good light at all. Paulie might move slow because oh yeah, this is the line from Henry. Because Paulie didn't have to move for anybody in the movie. Was pure as what the fuck? Broken soul. What the fuck? Is that monkey business? Hold up, guys. Wait, should we just put this like this, you know? Wait, like that. Absolutely. That real life. Just say about Polly, bro. He Killers. Hmm. Okay, take this back. God damn, bro. Paulie Cicero. That was a crazy video, bro. Really interesting. Irishman. The Irishman. Yeah, I watched The Irishman. It was a good movie, I guess. A bit slow.
The Irishman did not do that. He wrote in a book that he killed Jimmy Hoffa to kill somebody, and they want you to put him in the trunk and drive him back 14 fucking hours. I would have never did that. That's stupid.
The story was a complete lie. There's no truth to the story.
There was a guy in the Genovese family who got the contract to go down, and this guy, Crazy something or whatever his name was,
I can't see a fucking thing.
Crazy joke.
and they went down and killed him.
In recorded interviews, Sheeran slowly filled in the blanks. Sheeran said he was one of 3 men who arrived in this car to pick up Hoffa.
There's no question he was taken out by my former associates.
The meeting had been moved to a house, they told Hoffa, this house on Beaverland Street.
Jimmy Hoffa was picked up in a burgundy Buick. He never left the car.
Now, the question is always, where is he buried?
It was put in a car crusher. The friction of that heat, he came out to be a 2x4 block of steel.
If you wanted to find his body or try to find his body, you'd have to look in a very wet place.
The
My cousin did that on YouTube selling merch. The fuck?
Irishman did not do that. He wrote in a book that he killed Jimmy Hoffa to kill somebody, and they want you to put him in the trunk and drive him back 14 fucking hours. I would have never did that. That's stupid.
The story was a complete lie. There's no truth to the story.
There was a guy in the Genovese family who got the contract to go down, and this guy, Crazy something or whatever his name was,
I can't see a fucking thing.
and they went down and killed him.
In recorded interviews, Sheeran slowly filled in the blanks. Sheeran said he was one of 3 men who arrived in this car to pick up Hoffa.
There's no question he was taken out by my former associates.
The meeting had been moved to a house, they told Hoffa, this house on Beaverland Street.
Jimmy Hoffa was picked up in a burgundy Buick. He never left the car.
Now, the question is always, where is he buried?
It was put in a car crusher. The friction of that heat, he came out to be a 2x4 block of steel.
If you wanted to find his body or try to find his body, you'd have to look in a very wet place.
Coba yang less than 32 assassins hit man. The fuck most guys from the mafia. Those unions. Try as hostile and burn crash dump in the fuck. Harvey Keitel? Oh. 77. Hold up. August 12. 108. Hold up. We just play Roblox right now, bro. Okay. Back. It's back here. Pretty new. Charles Lucky Luciano. Pete the Killer. Oh shit, fuck. Huh. Okay. Alright. Let's play some games, bro. Huh. Let's play Arsenal. Cool, bro. Let's see. Oh, just finished, bro.
Finish them quickly.
Kill these guys, bro. Oh shit. Oh man, bro, I shot him, bro. Serious right now? Bro, 3 people. Oh, God. This can be serious, right? We played Arsenal in one. Lanky. Oh, there we go. I hate this gun, bro. Oh, delay is absolutely crazy. Bro, God, bro, I saw it's this gun. Oh. Hello? Oh, nice. Uh, there we go. Now we're back. Let's get it, bro. Let's kill this motherfucker. Oh, the freaking bows are gonna be worried about. Nice, nice. Do another round, bro. The heck, bro.
Kill them all. Make them suffer.
Okay, now we're back. Finally back. Oh shit. Kill him, bro. Kill this sniper. Better than him. Gotta be better than him. Oh shit. Easy one. Give me a exploit. He does make a point to deal with this hacker now.
They are stupid to think they will win.
He's got a good gaming channel. But kill him. He left. No. Run things. Oh yeah, he's in the red team now. Oh. We deal with this guy, bro. Wet. Oh. Amazing boost. Oh, hell yeah. Got him. Oh man. I mean, the game is kind of chill right now. I'm just walking around. I don't feel in the edge, you know what I'm saying? Oh, there we go. That set me off, bro. Set me on the edge, bro. Get back, back. Yeah, I got him, bro. Bro, I keep missing, but aim properly. Second. Pray, pray, go. Back.
Hey, you got him. Excellent. Why'd you let that happen?
Try one more round. Then we go to beat.
Take care of this quickly.
Oh man. Bro. Oh, bro. It's a melee weapon. Bro, the lag kind of crazy. Crash out. Bro. Haha, I got him, got him. Cool, it's cool. Bro. I just crashed. Moment. Yeah. What's that face with the top? I didn't expect.
Wow, smooth breakdown. Nice.
Yeah, with the brains out. Bro, this guy always gets me. Yeah. Oh my god. In. Talia. Okay, this is there we go. The fuck? Oh, okay. Oh my god. The face, bro. Here we go. He left. Probably left. But I'm gonna play B Swarm, bro. It's been a while. It's been an actual while. Fuck.
That's not funny.
People were the
What the fuck? Okay.
Red are running to the corner flag. What will this dishwasher do? Oh my fucking god, you're not Neymar. She shoots.
The fuck? Brown bear. Oh. Solo cave. It's brown bear. You're forgetting. It's been a long time since I played this game, bro. Brown bear. Oh, up there. Yeah, get him. Great job, buddy. Some rolling jelly. Little quest of fuck. The treatment give you a silver egg. It's been an hour since I gave you the last quest. It's been an hour, bro. It's been a minute, bro. Wait. Oh. Okay. Okay, let's go. Brown bear bluff. Okay, Cloverfield. Okay, this is the Cloverfield. Okay, it's following, bro. I can upgrade my gear, though. I forget how. Keep it moving. Keep it moving. I like this orange, bro. These things are really helpful. They turn pollen into honey, honey converter. So tired, man. Those speedboats. Was an update for the chat. We gotta check something. Mark scheme. It's the mark scheme. Ria. Yeah, this was not the mark scheme. It's the wrong one. Yeah, no. Wait, then what's this? The paper. Ria. This ain't the. It's not. That was not the paper, bro. Today. The paper today was fucked up, bro. It's fucking shit. Features for that paper. I think I'm cooking that paper though. I don't know. Oh. Yeah. Kill the motherfucker. So peaceful, this game. But feed this guy, bro. Shit. That was the exit, bro. No. Wait. Fuck. What? Oh yeah, there we go. Okay. Defeat him. Defeat this mother trucker. Man, I gotta regain my health, bro. I can't stay near him, bro. I can't. Not right now, bro. Deal with my bees, bro. They're the ones hurting you. Come on, bro. Calm down. Gotta chill, bro. You just gotta kill you. Oh, nice. Oh, almost died there. This pollen process is so long. It's taking me a while. Oh, I got a badge to claim. Nice. Blue flower hot shot. Yeah, kill the fucking bee. Oh shit, gotta get that honey, bro. Put it, bro. Can have more space to collect the pollen. Hold it. What the? Severing my camera, bro. What the fuck? Yeah, gotta go fast, bro. Gotta go fast. Get that. Yeah. turn it into honey, I mean. It's a fast process. But this is ain't so fast though. Yeah. It's bro. Yeah. My bag is almost full, bro. Oh, freak. I think I'm barely halfway there. This quest. Wait, what if I just like switch it up, you know? Yeah, over here. Yeah, good. Oh, the loot. Oh yeah, let's go fast. Fast. Yeah. Change that into honey. But there's 1 million, that's why it's taking so long. 1,500,000. I will do the longer first. Be much more efficient. Same pay. Yeah. Oh, there we go. Nice. But this loot, bro. It feels so rich. Just playing this game. It's the beauty of this game. Oh, gotta kill him. Oh, that's his enemy. Okay. Right. Let's go down. Where I kill him. Yeah, get that out here. Yeah. My bag is full, bro. Let's convert it to honey. Yeah, here we go. After this, I might just close this and record a video instead.
but don't let that change who you are inside.
It's too late, Sonic. I have 50 million.
Shadow, wait! Don't do this! I know you're hurting, but don't let that change who you are inside.
There we go. I might just watch a video, bro. Fuck. New window. Gotta go Lucky Luciano. Luciano Michael.
Came to America as a 9-year-old. Luciano realized in the world of
Okay. Let's watch this video, bro. Oh, hell yeah. Story of Carlo Gambino, most feared and respected mafia boss.
In the world of mafia or organized crime, there are few names that resonate as powerfully as that of Carlo Gambino.
Don Carlo Gambino.
Often mistakenly mocked as a, quote, squirrel of a man by boss Joe Bonanno, Gambino defied the stereotype of the violent mobster. Instead of intimidation, he wielded silence and strategy. But who was he really? And how did he rise to become one of the most powerful mafia bosses in American history? And that's the truth. He was maybe the most powerful mob boss in all of history. Today, we unravel the layers of his life and his legacy, exploring the methods that cemented his status as a mafia kingpin. From his early days in Sicily to his rise in America, Gambino's journey reflects the complexities of loyalty, power, and survival in a world where the stakes are quite often life and death.
Story of Carlo Gambino. Wait. Okay.
You know, ever since we put this tapestry behind me, the portrait of all the what I thought were the 50 most prominent mob guys throughout American history, I would say. People have been asking me about it. I had promised you that I would be talking about all 50 of these men, other than myself. I'm not going to do that, or my dad. But the other 49, you know, I had promised you that I'd talk about each one of them separately and kind of give you a history of them because they all have their own history. They all have their own story. They were all pretty dynamic in a different way. Obviously, I don't know everybody. I don't know all of their stories. I am familiar with the names, of course. I've met many of them that are in that tapestry behind me. So I think it'll be interesting to you if I go in depth to many of the men that are on there. We'll see if it's really interesting. We'll do them all. And I'm going to start with the guy who I think is one of the most prominent on the list for sure. And that's because the way he managed his family. And that's Carlo Gambino.
He was a gangster.
Penguin
Old school type. He was a big deal.
He did it the right way. He stayed in the shadows. He was a very unassuming guy. He wasn't flashy at all. He didn't want the FBI to even know who he was. He was very careful the way he presented himself, even within his own circles. He was extremely strategic, very shrewd. If you look at him walking down the street, you wouldn't think he was anybody special. I had the pleasure of meeting him one time. I was introduced to him by my dad. I was a kid. This was in the 60s. My dad took me with him on a drive to his house in Massapequa. And my dad introduced him as Mr. Gambino, and he shook my hand. He was very nice, like an elderly man. But that was it. I never had any business with him. He died in 1976. I had just gotten made in 75, so there really would be nothing for me to do with him. But obviously, I knew of him. I knew of his reputation. He ruled over the most powerful mafia family in the country. And it was his doing. He formed it, he managed it, and he made it thrive.
The what? Real life in
Gambino was
Sicily.
born in Palermo, Sicily. He was born in either August or September of 1902. We don't really know when. I'm not sure if he knew when. But he grew up in a world that was ruled by the mafia in Sicily. I think we all know that. I mean, very prominent in Sicily back then and even now. His family's connections in the underworld set the stage for his future. From a young age, he witnessed the intricacies of power and influence in Sicilian society. His upbringing instilled in him a keen sense of survival and ambition, which would later inform his approach to crime and leadership in America. The harsh realities of life in Sicily, marked by violence and betrayal, taught him early on that trust was a rare commodity. It would shape his philosophy of business and relationship for years to come. He was just 19 years old when he was smuggled into America. He didn't come here the normal way. He was actually hidden among crates of lemons and olive oil. Imagine that. But thanks to his family ties, he was able to bypass the harsh realities that most immigrants faced at that time. It wasn't like today, where you just crossed the border, you got in, people paid for you, you got, credit cards and all of that. No, it was different coming into the country back then. It was the way it should have been. His arrival in New York in 1921 marked the beginning of a new chapter in his life, where he would quickly adapt to the bustling, ruthless environment of the mafia or organized crime here in America.
Oh, this is from the Godfather Part 2. I haven't watched the movie yet.
But he adapted, and this adaptability would prove crucial as he navigated the challenges of establishing himself in a foreign land. He didn't know America. The immigrant experience of hardship and resilience would fuel his ambitions, allowing him to empathize with others seeking success in a land of opportunity, even if it meant taking morally ambiguous paths.
Chapter 3.
The
Nice.
1920s
The
were a
ranks.
time of prosperity for Gambino as he worked under the infamous Giuseppe Mazzaria. You know who he was. And I tell you this, people, all the time. Who made the mafia strong in America? It was the government with prohibition. Before that, they were just a bunch of guys trying to make a living, doing what they had to do. Prohibition. That's what made the mafia begin to get strong in America. His initial involvement in the bootlegging trade provided him not only with financial gains, but also critical connections within the mafia, within the underworld. However, the criminal landscape was very volatile back then. Guys were fighting with each other. They were killing each other in the streets. This was before the commission, before Luciano organized everything. There's a lot of stuff going on. The Castellamorese War ignited fierce rivalries. It forced Gambino to really hone his skills in negotiation and strategy as he fought for survival and dominance in this cutthroat environment. And cutthroat it was. This was the era of Al Capone and everybody else during that time. They were killing each other in the street. You remember the drive-by shootings with machine guns? They invented drive-by shootings back then. These gangbangers just picked it up, but they invented it. His ability to read people and situations allowed him to make strategic alliances. He leveraged relationships to ensure his safety and his ascent in an era when loyalty was often a very fleeting concept. Again, there wasn't a lot of loyal people back then. They went where the money was. A lot of people killing each other back then. It was tough.
And now you got a family that's loyal to you. And that loyalty is more important than your own life.
With the fall of Mazzaria and Maranzano, planned by Lucky Luciano and Meyer Lansky, you remember that? We'll get into Lucky Luciano. Obviously, he was a prominent guy. We got to talk about him. But after those two were murdered, Gambino found himself in a position to rise within the Mangano family. He capitalized on the end of Prohibition. Many people, they didn't capitalize on the end of Prohibition. They were lost. They didn't manage their money properly, and now they had to get into other things. But he was strategic. He expanded his illegal liquor business, earning a reputation as a shrewd operator. His ability to identify opportunities in chaos showcased his exceptional foresight. As Gambino ascended to capo, he began to form alliances that would solidify his influence and expand his operations throughout all of New York. He was very shrewd. He was only ever arrested one time. Can you imagine that? A guy with that kind of power and that kind of visibility, I guess, because he was rising in the ranks at that time. He was arrested one time, and he was fairly young. He was 35 years old. It was in 1937. It was for tax evasion. He was convicted. He got 22 months in prison. Nothing. This would be amongst the shortest sentences of a man of his reputation would ever serve, as he strived to remain forever in the shadows. He was so smart in that regard. He wanted to stay away from both law enforcement and his enemies alike. He had a lot of self-control, and this self-control pattern of behavior, resulting in a very beneficial strategic expansion, was not merely opportunistic. It demonstrated his deep understanding of market dynamics and the importance of staying ahead of his competitors, setting the stage for his eventual takeover of the family. You know, in that life, you got to be very observant. You got to know everybody that's around you. You got to know their character. You got to know their moves. You got to know their likes and their dislikes if you're going to rise in the family. There's a lot of strategy involved in this. In order to rise in that environment the way he did, you had to read people pretty well.
Power shift.
Now we're into the 1940s, and they brought new challenges, but Gambino thrived. How? He used the chaos of World War II to his advantage. Why? Because law enforcement was focused on the war effort. And because of that, organized crime, the mafia in this country flourished. The 40s were great. Remember, I say that the golden years of the mob, it started in the 40s, the late 40s, mid to late 40s, and it lasted right through the mid-80s when the RICO Act came in and started to do all that devastation.
Racketeer influence and corrupt organizations. RICO law.
However, tensions within the Mangano family culminated in violence, a lot of stuff, a lot of bloodshed on the street. It led to the assassinations of both Vincent and Philip Mangano in 1951, the year I was born. This power vacuum allowed Gambino to position himself very strategically, displaying his calculated approach to maintaining control amidst uncertainty. His very keen instincts for detecting weakness in his rivals' positions allowed him to execute a well-timed takeover, ensuring that he was not just a survivor, but a master of manipulation in a treacherous game of power.
Becoming Don Carl.
Now we have the era of Albert Anastasia. He started to rise as boss, and that increased tensions because he was a wild man. But Gambino endured disrespect at that time, and he remained patient. From what I know, Anastasia didn't respect Gambino at that time, but he bid his time. You know, my father once told me, I was very upset when they broke him as a captain. They broke him as a capo regime. I was a captain at that time. They broke my dad. Persico said, "Sonny, you don't have to worry about that anymore. You don't have to take care of your men. We're going to break your captaincy. It's not an insult. We're doing it for your benefit. And this way you stay out of trouble. You don't get violated again." I think there was more to it. I was getting some power on my own at that time. My father's still a powerful guy, wielded a lot of influence. And I think Junior was more or less just keeping us in our place. Kept me as a captain because I was bringing money to him directly. There was no middleman at that point. But my father told me, just bide your time. Patience, son. Don't say anything. Don't complain. Just patience. I think Gambino showed that same patience. For him, it paid off. That moment came on October 25th, 1957, when Anastasia was gunned down in a barbershop. That scene is, it's epic. He's lying on the floor. The gunmen came in. They shot him. Boom, he went down.
Gambino. Wait, this is from the Alto Knights. I remember this scene. The one where Robert De Niro played those two gangsters at the same time.
He got out of the chair and he tried to, I think he had a gun on him and he tried to shoot back. I don't know that for a fact. But he went down, that was it. And that's an iconic scene in the underworld. That's when Gambino was able to take advantage. And at that point, he became Don Carlo Gambino. Now, this transition marked a new era for the Gambino family, where his leadership style focused on discretion and long-term planning. He set a precedent for future mob operations, at least he tried to. His strategic vision, it transformed the family's operations, emphasizing low-profile management and avoidance of excessive violence, thereby extending their influence while minimizing law enforcement attention. He didn't believe in violence. Luciano didn't believe in violence. They did what they had to do when they had to do it. But after that, they didn't want it. They said, look, it's no good for business. We got to maintain a low profile. We got to be more business people. That's how we're going to thrive. When we have to use violence, we do it, but we minimize it. And that was so smart. That was the way, the only way that the mafia could survive in this country was with that agenda.
No violence.
Under Gambino's leadership, the Gambino family became the most powerful mafia family or any organized crime family in all of America. He controlled critical operations at JFK Airport. He tapped into lucrative smuggling routes and illicit trade routes. His investments in legitimate business served as fronts for all his illegal activities, allowed him to blend into society while conducting his operations. This dual approach not only shielded him from law enforcement, but also solidified his empire as he diversified into various legitimate industries and operations. Gambino's adeptness at integrating into legitimate circles reflected his keen understanding that survival depended on both criminal enterprise and social acceptance in a rapidly changing America.
Land freedom.
But no matter who you are, the road is not always easy in that life. One of his rivals, Joe Bonanno, created a plot to eliminate Gambino and his allies, and it showed you just how the stakes are so high in organized crime. But his extensive network and strategic thinking allowed him to outmaneuver these threats. His ability to remain several steps ahead of his rivals, anticipate their moves, was his key to survival. One such instance was taken in the form of Joe Colombo, my family, my former boss, whose role in the hierarchy of the Magliocco crime family took a dramatic leap when he defied orders from his boss, Joe Magliocco, to carry out a very brazen plot against the heads of two of New York families. Gambino was one, and Tony Lucchese was the other. Joe Colombo was given the order to kill them both, but Joe Colombo was shrewd too. He didn't like Magliocco. He knew there was something going on there. He didn't particularly like Bonanno, and he wasn't going to be on the losing side. So what does he do? Instead, he went straight to the intended targets, and he tipped them off to the conspiracy. He went right to Gambino, right to Lucchese, and said, hey, this is what's happening. I'm not going to do it. I'm preparing you. I'm letting you know. This prompted a demotion on Magliocco's part from Gambino and the rest of the commission. They went to him and they said, we know of the plot. You're demoted. You're out of the life. You're on the shelf, but we're going to spare your life. Why they did that, I don't know. However, even after they spared his life, he died a few months later. He died of a heart attack, I think. So he went out graciously, even after a plot like that. Normally, that doesn't happen. I'm surprised they didn't kill him. Well, Bonanno ran away. And then later, when he finally came back, they banned him to Arizona. As a result of Colombo's loyalty to Gambino and Lucchese, Gambino and Lucchese and the rest of the commission gave him his own family. And that's how the Colombo family came about.
Joe, you have earned a seat at the table amongst us.
This intricate dance of power played out against a backdrop of violence and betrayal, where alliances were forged and broken in the pursuit of the backdrop of violence and betrayal, where
It's fucking Tom Hardy, bro. Legend, bro. The movie.
Alliances were forged and broken in the pursuit of dominance. Gambino's commitment to maintaining a strong, loyal inner circle ensured that he had both the muscle and the brains to navigate these turbulent waters. It reflected a profound understanding of human nature and the complexities of loyalty in the mob world.
Chapter 9, Life Lessons
As we
from
look
Gambino.
back and reflect on Gambino's life, at least that I do, we uncover some lessons that really resonate beyond the mafia world. And look, he was a leader. And I've said this many times, you can be a boss, but not really have leadership qualities. Well, Gambino was a leader. To command that kind of respect, that kind of loyalty, to run your family for 20 years, to make it the biggest mafia family in the country, you had to be something. There had to be something about you, and you have to learn something from this. And I want to talk about a couple of things that I learned, and I want to share it with you. Number one, the power of patience. You know, Gambino knew when to act and when to bide his time. You got to know when to hold him and when to fold him. It's like a game of poker at times. Patience can lead to better decision making. Waiting for the right moment can turn a disadvantage to an opportunity. I found that out many times, you know. Sometimes you gotta wait. Like my father told me, just wait. This principle holds true in business negotiations. It holds true in personal relationships alike, where impulsive actions can often lead to mischances. Patience is really a virtue in the mob life for sure, but really in any life. Number two, don't underestimate the quiet ones. They're the smart ones. Never judge someone's potential by their appearance, because he was very unassuming. You walk by him, you think it was somebody's grandfather. He didn't look like the most powerful mob boss in the country. Sometimes the most unassuming individuals can surprise you. Quite often they do.
He's old, but he's still sharp, and don't dare underestimate him.
You know, empty barrels make the most noise. Those people that speak the loudest, those are the ones you normally are not going to pay attention to. It's the quiet, unassuming guys that keep their mouths shut, don't speak out of turn, but when they speak, it's meaningful. They're the ones you got to worry about. They're the ones you got to respect and learn from. Number 3, building strong networks. You know, I say this all the time. Networking was a major reason for any success that I have. And I'm still practice that today. You know, I value the relationships that I make. And sometimes they can be used to my advantage and for the advantage of both of us. Well, Gambino leveraged relationships for growth. In any field, networking is essential. You got to surround yourself with those who support your ambitions. Very important. Cultivating alliances can open doors you never knew existed. This lesson applies universally. Whether you're in business, whether you're in academia, even in your personal life, it emphasizes the importance of fostering connections that can aid in mutual success. Number 4, adaptability in adversity. Gambino thrived in changing circumstances, whether it was during Prohibition, whether it was in World War II. His flexibility, his innovation were key traits in overcoming his challenges. Those who can pivot quickly often find success where others are going to fail. This adaptability is very crucial, especially in today's very fast-paced world, where unexpected changes, they can either make or break. They can break you or break your career. Number 5, stay true to your principles. Despite the chaos around him, what did Gambino do?
Wait, hold on. Phyllis Cass. Is that him? 2008. Wait. The Criminal. Godfather of Harlem. It is the guy from Godfather, bro. This is Michael's brother. Wait, it's him, right? Am I crazy? He died. Oh, 2022. Oh, it was recent. Oh. So this is a new movie. I'm not sure which one though.
He maintained true to your principles. Despite the chaos around him, what did Gambino do? He maintained a code of conduct. Upholding your values can lead to trust and respect no matter the environment. In a world of shifting morals, integrity can be a powerful asset. Look at how our morals have shifted in this world, from the progressives to the conservatives to those in the middle. We have shifting values all the time. Remain committed to one's principles often attracts loyal followers and strengthens one's position in any field that you're in.
Chapter 10, Final View.
As Gambino aged, he even more so retreated from the public eye. He still managed his empire, but he managed it from the shadows. By the time he died in 1976, he died of a heart attack. He died in his bed, in his home, in Massapequa. But at that time, the landscape of organized crime, the mafia in America, had begun to shift very significantly. The FBI, they intensified their focus on the mafia. My dad, major target.
John
By the
Sonny.
time Gambino died, my father was already convicted and doing a 50-year prison sentence. But there
Father.
were new players. You know, the rise of new players indicated that there was a changing of the guard. But Gambino's legacy, it really endured. It influenced how organized crime would evolve in the coming decades. And, you know, unfortunately, a lot of people didn't listen to him. If they would have followed in his footsteps, if they had his management style, stayed in the shadows, of course, look, you know, everybody has their own personal assets. And Gambino was very smart. Maybe everybody wasn't as smart as him, but there were some smart people. But if they would have really followed his lead, the mafia would have survived better in this country. Or maybe that's a bad thing, but that's the truth. But I also have to say this. You know, he was fortunate that the RICO statute hadn't been put in place because he might have been victimized by that. Even guys that tried to keep a low profile, when the RICO statute came in, it was difficult. It really was. But I think Gambino might have been one that would have survived that. I really mean that, because he was that shrewd, and he didn't want to be noticed. It was like the Chin, but Chin was obviously trying not to be noticed by you.
Wait, where's the guy?
Be noticed. It was like the Chin.
Vincent Gigante. This is from the Alto Knights too.
The Chin was obvious.
Cosmo Jarvis played him in the movie.
By trying not to be noticed, by, you know, walking the streets as he did. He did it for 30 years, but it caught up with him in the end. Gambino, his methods of discretion and subtlety became a template that very few rising mobsters would emulate later on, especially after his very controversial decision to name Big Paul Castellano as the new boss of the family. And he did it on his deathbed. It was kind of like a last-minute decision. I don't know if anybody expected that. But what happened? It would sow the disgruntled seeds of a rising star in the Gambino family, and we know who that is. One would live his life in the tabloids, and that resulted in later on his conviction and his life sentence, and he became a major target. I don't have to say anything more. We know his, especially after his very is. One would live his life sentence, and he became a major target. I don't have to say anything more. We know his name. It was John Gotti, the Teflon Don, the Dapper Don.
Ricardo, this is John Gotti.
That was a guy who didn't follow in Gambino's lead. I don't blame John for that. John was who he was. He made no bones about it. Was John Gotti's style an advantage to either himself or his family? I don't think so. It would have been much more to his advantage had he stayed in the shadows like Carlo Gambino. Might have been more difficult for him because of the timing. Who knows? You know, Joe Colombo, you can say the same thing. I admire Joe Colombo. He was a mentor to me after my father went away. I loved the guy, loved his family. You know, he was the boss of the family. And do you get out in the open like that with the Italian American Civil Rights League, especially when the FBI was so focused on all of our families in New York, all of our families throughout the country at that time? Wasn't a good idea. Carlo did it right, did 22 months in prison, and ran the most powerful family in the country. So, Carlo, you know, this is kind of my tipping my hat to you, I would say. Hopefully you all enjoyed it. Next one up will probably be Joe Colombo, either Joe Colombo or Frank Costello, one of those two. I admired both of them. Let's see how you like this one, and we'll take it from there. And same way, people, how do I always leave you? Never going to change. Be safe. Be healthy. God bless each and every one of you. And yes, I'll see you next time. Take care.
Nice video, bro. The real gangster, was it? Let me take you back into the world of real life godfather Carlo Gambino, and as I launch a brand new series diving deep into the greatest mafia bosses of history. Its first episode, I'm sharing the untold story of Gambino, the man behind one of the most powerful crime families America has ever seen. From his humble beginnings in Sicily to his rise as a kingpin in New York's underworld, I'll walk you through his life, his influence, and the legacy he left behind. But this isn't just a history lesson. I knew the man, I lived that life, and I'm giving you my first-hand perspective on what made him so formidable. If you're a fan of true crime or fascinated by the stories of America's most powerful families, this is your chance to see it all through the eyes of someone who was there. Yeah. Story of Carlo Gambino, most feared and respected mafia boss. Oh, see the comments, bro. Joe the boss. Vinny Chin Gigante. Yeah, that was all. I might stream today, gang. Stream tomorrow, maybe.